Every realtor you know and their cousin and their dog are telling you to sell your house this year, and your social media feeds are blowing up with like, it's a seller's market, you should sell now. But should you? Like, what are you gonna do after you sell your house? Because then you have to buy something in a seller's market. So coming up in this video, we're gonna talk through pros and cons as to why you might wanna consider selling your house this year, why maybe you shouldn't sell your house this year, and stick around to the end because we're gonna give you our opinion on if you should sell your home in 2021 or not. All right, hey guys, welcome back. My name is Sztanyo from Keller Williams Realty and TeamStanyo.com, where we are helping you find your home and strengthen your family. I'm a Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky realtor, and in this video, I just want to go through like, hey, should you sell your house in 2021? I mean, every time you turn on Facebook or Instagram, there's some like realtor showing you a post of like, sold this house over asking price in one day. You should sell your house too. And maybe you should, but I don't want to just give the stock realtor answer of like, here's why you should sell your house so I can make money, because you're probably getting that enough. So I want to give you some reasons why you should. I want to give you some reasons why you shouldn't. So let's first look. Cut that, please. So let's first look at some charts, because everyone loves charts. And this is here locally in Cincinnati. It's probably very similar in your area around the country. But what I want to look at first is the average sold and median price from 2 years ago compared to the average sold and median price now. And what we're seeing from this data is basically from March of 19 to March of 21, both in the average the average sale price and the median sale price, it's up 32% in Cincinnati. Now in Cincinnati, we're a pretty stable city. We're a river city. We're in the middle of the country. There's not a ton of people like moving in and out of here. We don't see huge amounts of appreciation or depreciation. We're pretty steady. I mean, normally on a good year, we might see like 3-4% appreciation. To see 31% change in the last 2 years is pretty crazy, okay? And we'll get into more of why that is. Let's look at this other chart. This chart is showing the supply and demand, which if you look at this red, you can kind of see this red line going down. And this is telling you how many houses are for sale. And basically over the last 2 years, it's down 46%. The amount of homes that were for sale in March 2019, March 2019 versus March 21, down 46%. Same chart basically here that says the month's supply of inventory is down 54%. So basically, if you were trying to buy a house 2 years ago, you had 50% more houses available to choose from. Now you have 50% less. What does that mean? It's simple economics. When there's high demand and low supply, prices go, anybody? You guys remember? Prices go up. That's right. You got it. Good job. You passed your economics class. High demand, low supply. That's where we're at in 2021. Now, to be fair, everyone in my office, in my Keller Williams office, has said for the last 3-4 years, it's a great time to sell. Supply is down and demand is up. And that has actually been true, but it just keeps getting like crazier and crazier, where there's even less supply and there's even more demand and prices are going up even more. And typically in a real estate market, there are booms and there are busts. It's a cycle. It's a real estate cycle. And everyone's been waiting for this shift in the market to happen. There are reasons why it should happen, and there are reasons to believe why it might not happen this year. But I want to give you 5 reasons why 2021 might look a little different than 2020, and why we might start to see a little bit less demand, why we might start to see a little bit more supply, and why it might not be a huge bust, like a huge Great Recession. You see, everyone has in their mind 2007, 2008 when the Great Recession hit and the real estate market took a tank. And you should remember that. That was a big deal. But the big difference is this. When I'm telling my clients this, I'm always saying like, look, that bubble, that was an actual real estate bubble. It was caused by bad lending practices. People were getting loans that shouldn't be getting loans. So everyone was buying houses that they couldn't afford. You guys have probably seen the different movies with Christian Bale and like how this whole housing bubble market burst. And then you had all this inventory on the market from foreclosures, and you had low demand from buyers at that point. And so prices just tanked, okay? And so people have that kind of fresh in their mind because we just lived through that I mean, it's been 12, 13 years now, 13, 14 years. And that's the most recent cycle we've had. And so everyone's kind of bracing for that, thinking like, oh, it's gonna burst, but it might not. And let's talk through economically why that might not happen. So if you're looking at 2021 and you're saying, should I sell my house this year? I'm gonna give you 5 reasons why that cycle might actually shift. Probably not because of a huge bust in the market, but some reasons that might dampen the demand and increase the supply. So let's go through those right now. The first reason is that interest rates are starting to go up. So over the last several years, we've seen interest rates go lower, 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 lower. And what happens with that is it brings more buyers to the table because they can afford more house with a lower interest rate. And so what we've seen in 2021 early on is they kind of bottomed out and they started to go back up. And if interest rates continue to rise, that backs more buyers out of the picture. If there's more buyers out of the picture, demand is lessened and prices will start, theoretically, to go down a little bit. Okay, the next 4 reasons are really all about housing supply, how much inventory is on the market, and we are at historic lows. But there's 4 reasons why that might change this year. Reason number 1 is there's a backlog of foreclosures that might hit the market in this year. So basically what happened with the pandemic is government kind of stepped in and said, hey, we're not gonna allow you to foreclose on people's houses. We're gonna put a moratorium on foreclosures. We're gonna allow people to do forbearance, which is to like basically miss their payments and tack them on to the end of their mortgage. There's reasons to believe that might end. Eventually it's gonna come to an end. And there's a backlog of foreclosures that haven't happened in the last year plus that will hit the market. When those foreclosures hit the market, that's just more supply on the market, right? When there's more supply, that's gonna even out that demand and supply curve a little bit and prices will start to fall just a little bit. That's one reason. Second reason why supply might go up a little bit is that builders are gaining much more confidence and they're building more than they have basically in the last decade. So after 07, 08, the recession, they got really scared. Most of the new construction building dollars, investing dollars went towards multifamily, building out these huge apartment complexes. You've probably seen them spring up all over your city. And not a lot went into like single family housing. So right now, because demand is really strong, builders are more confident. Now the cost of building materials are up, but they're still saying, you know what, we know the demand is strong enough. We're gonna buy land, we're gonna build single family housing. And so that is ratcheting up a little bit. It's not gonna catch up to all the demand that's there, but again, that's another reason why supply is gonna go up slightly in 2021 and in the years to come here. All right, third reason why supply might go up is that the coronavirus restrictions are coming to an end somewhat. And so what happened last year in 2020 is all of the pool of people who were planning on selling their house, that's 100%, basically about 70 to 80% of them actually did sell their house. Another 20 to 30% said, nah, we're good. Like, there's a worldwide pandemic on. I don't really want strangers coming into my house. I don't know how this thing spreads. We were all figuring stuff out. We didn't know if it could spread via touching surfaces. Who wasn't Lysoling down their Amazon packages that were coming in, right? This guy, guilty. And so so a lot of people sat out last year. Well, those people this year, as the vaccine is rolling out more and as restrictions are starting to lift, are more comfortable, and they're like, I was gonna sell last year, but now I'm gonna sell this year. And so that is also adding to the inventory that might come back on the market in 2021. And lastly, this is more of kind of a macro trend, but the baby boomers are aging, and as these millions of baby boomers who are aging, what's happening from a housing standpoint is a lot of these boomers bought houses in the burbs that were big houses, they raised their families, but now they're like, hey, I don't really wanna mow my grass anymore. I don't really wanna take care of a 4-bedroom house anymore. I'm gonna sell my house, downsize, move into a walkable community, and be done with it. Someone else can mow the lawn. And so that might not be a rush in 2021, though that's happening personally. My in-laws are looking to do that. They're like, yeah, let's sell and move to Florida for 6 months of the year. So there's a lot of boomers. While that might not all flood in 2021, that is a trend that's bringing more housing inventory on the market. So as you think back to the past several years and the market has gone up and up and up, it's been a great seller's market. Those are 5 reasons to kind of pause and be like, you know what? It might churn a little bit. It might cool off here in 2021. So maybe I want to get in and sell my house before the market cools. The obvious question then is, what next? Like, if you actually do sell your house, then what are you gonna do? Because now you're thrown into this buyer's market that is crazy. It's like a shark frenzy infested blood. Like, it's just like kind of nuts out there. And you're like, do I really wanna do that? And you might not wanna do that. So let me give you a few reasons. There are some downsides to selling, which is you put yourself in this situation where there's not a lot of inventory on the market and you have to buy a house that might be more expensive compared to the last few years. So you're just kind of trading. Let me give you a few reasons why you might want to consider selling your house and buying, and maybe some tips here. All right, first reason you would sell and buy another house is that it just works better for your family or your situation. Maybe you've got a 2-bedroom home, a 3-bedroom home, and you've had a kid or two during the pandemic or whatever. And you're like, we need more space. So basically you're like, yeah, I'm okay. I understand that I'm going to make a lot of money when I sell, and a lot of that money is going to be taken up on this next house because that house is going to be expensive too, but it's a better situation for your family. That makes a lot of sense to do that. Same thing is you're downsizing. You're like, I've got too much house and I'm gonna cash out on the equity and I'm gonna buy something smaller. And yes, it's kind of expensive, but it's a better fit for me and my life right now. That's a good reason why you should sell right now. If you are okay with flipping a house or doing a rehab project and managing that, or even doing it yourself, maybe you can find a house that's been out there for a little bit, nobody wants because it's got some issues wrong with it. Maybe you can find an off-market property because you're working with local wholesalers or something like that. That's if you're like absolutely intent on, I've got to cash out here, this equity, and I've got to gain equity on the purchase. It's a challenge, but it could be done. Now, just realize those houses, they're few and far between right now because of the foreclosure issue we talked about. And you're now competing against investors as well. So you might be competing against other owner occupants who want to do that. You're also competing against investors they're kind of starved from inventory even as well, of properties where they can make $1. It's rare, but you can find it. And so that's one option you can do as well. What I would probably not recommend doing right now is cashing out on your equity and then saying, I'm gonna rent somewhere and I'm just gonna sit it out because I know the market's gonna crash. And when the market crashes, I will then buy when the prices are down. Just because of the economics that we're seeing, because the demand is there, because the market is not built up artificially, because inflation, a lot of dollars are being pumped into the economy right now and prices are probably just gonna continue to go up. More and more millennials are wanting to buy a house, so that demand is not slowing anytime soon. If you decide to sell your house and then rent somewhere or live in your parents' basement or whatever kind of temporary housing you're thinking about doing, you might be sitting there an awful long time. And when you go to jump back into the market, you might see like, man, it just kept going up. Now there might, to the reasons I mentioned before, there might be some cooling off of the market, but from the economists I'm listening to, from the real estate indicators I'm looking at, from other real estate agents I'm talking to, it doesn't feel like it's the same as the 07-08 crash. So that's kind of the big idea I want to give to you here is like, we might not see that huge decline in prices. And so if you're trying to time it, I would just say be very, very careful. I wouldn't strongly recommend trying to time the market. All right, so what's my recommendation to you as a real estate agent, as someone who's in the real estate market day in and day out? Should you sell your house in 2021? Maybe. Like, that's my answer. That's kind of what I got for you. I would go back to what I kind of said before, which is, here's what we believe at Team Sztanyo. We believe that your home is where families grow strong together. Home is where families grow strong together. And that could look very differently for how your family makeup is. And families are all kinds of different. So you might want to go buy 50 acres out in the country. You might have a lot of kids and you might want to have them run around. And so now's the time to sell your house in the city and move out to the country and get a bunch of land. Great. You might want to be in the urban center and you might want to have walkability and you might want to be close to shopping and restaurants and bars. Great. You have to do what's right for you. And so what I would say is Does it make sense to sell and buy right now? It depends on your situation. If you're trying to find and improve on a better situation because you know the living criteria and the criteria you want for your home that will strengthen your family, that will be better for whatever you want for your family, then yes, sell your home and buy another one and move. Do it this year. Don't try to time the market. But if you're just trying to do it to cash out and to make a buck and then sit out on the market, this is probably not what you're gonna see on other videos. You're gonna see like 6 reasons why you have to sell right now and the market's hot, hot, hot. I'm not doing that, right? If you're getting anything from me right now, it's just like, be smart about it, be wise about it. Do it if it's the right situation for you. And that's basically in any market. If you try to time the market, you're gonna get in trouble. You have to do what's best for you. You have to do what's best for your family. All right, guys, that was fun. Go watch these other videos. We've got all kinds of playlists of if you're new to the Cincinnati area, what's the cost of living like? What's it like living in different neighborhoods? We've got videos on new construction homes. We've got tons of content all about Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky real estate and living in this city. Please watch another video. If this was helpful for you, please give it a like, please subscribe. Thank you guys so much for watching.